Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Thursday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vaney, and today's report includes: are the Pittsburgh Steelers really trying to keep this running back? This Pittsburgh Penguins all-time great has a lot more left in the tank. A Pittsburgh sports legend has passed away, and more. As always, please be sure to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into the first news story of the day. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers really trying to keep this running back? Just like last year with their quarterbacks, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the precipice of completely reshaping their running backs room. Najee Harris is an unrestricted free agent, Jaylen Warren is a restricted free agent, and Cordero Patterson is most likely going to get cut. The only one likely to return out of those three is Warren, but even then, the Steelers are apparently going to do something interesting. Per Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Steelers beat reporter Jerry Dulac, the Black and Gold are expected to retain Warren with a right of first refusal tender. Okay, I'm going to try to explain this for both you and me. From my understanding, there are two types of RFA tenders, a second round tender or an original round tender. The original round, or right of first refusal tender, is the lower of the two offers. If the Steelers were to use the second round tender, which would pay around $5 million, any other NFL team would be allowed to sign Warren, but would need to give the Steelers a second round pick if Pittsburgh doesn't match that team's offer. On the other hand, the original round tender, which pays a little over $3 million, again would allow any other team to sign Warren, but should the Steelers refuse to match, in this case, they would get no draft pick compensation. If Warren was drafted, say in the 7th round, then the Steelers could get a 7th rounder in return, but because he was an undrafted free agent signing, they would get nothing. In all honesty, I think I'll be fine with whatever happens in this scenario. If the Steelers were to bring back Warren for cheap, then they would have an above-average number 2 running back who could maybe become a legit number 1. However, if Warren signs elsewhere for more money, it wouldn't be the end of the world, and the Steelers could do a much-needed revamping of the entire running backs room. If it were me, I'd give him the second round tender with the NFL salary cap going up a good bit, but we will have to wait and see what actually happens. What do you think of this? Would you offer Warren more money or risk letting him walk? Let me know in the comments below. The Pittsburgh Pirates announced their spring training broadcast schedule. Pirates baseball is so close that we can practically taste it, as the Bucks play in their first spring training games this weekend. With that, yesterday the team announced their Grapefruit Spring League broadcast schedule. The schedule, shown here, says that Sportsnet Pittsburgh, the broadcasting home of the Pittsburgh Pirates, will cover 6 home games and 7 away games in Florida this year. Most other spring training games beyond that can be streamed or listened to on 93.7 The Fan, 101 FM AM 1020, SMP Plus, or Pirates.com. Anyway, some other Bucks news from yesterday is that first baseman Spencer Horwitz had his sutures removed from his wrist surgery, allowing him to do some light practicing. Starting pitcher Paul Skeens and prospect starting pitcher Bubba Chandler, as you would expect, dominated during live bullpens. And the Pirates hosted a Miracle League fantasy camp for 40 athletes from the Miracle League of Minnesota, alongside players, coaches, and owner Bob Nutting. The previously mentioned games this weekend for the Bucks are on Saturday against the Baltimore Orioles and Sunday against the Minnesota Twins. First pitch for both games are scheduled for 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time and can be watched on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. This Pittsburgh Penguins all-time great has a lot more left in the tank. The Pittsburgh Penguins are about to begin the final 25-game home stretch of their season this weekend, and with that comes the return of a key forward. Speaking with reporters after practice yesterday, forward Evgeny Malkin said that he will play Saturday against the Washington Capitals, saying, "I feel good. I haven't played the last 5 games, and the break's helping me for sure. I have a couple of days to rest, little bit workout and a good practice yesterday and today. I mean, ready to play for sure. I hope we have, 25 games left? Big push for us, and I'm excited to be back." Malkin continued saying that he wanted to play in the Pens' final 2 games before the break, but was held out by the team. After spending his time off with family in South Florida, Malkin looks healthy and poised to help the Pens push for the playoffs this year, and according to a recent report, for a few more years as well. This in an article from The Athletic's Rob Rossi, the 38-year-old will not be hanging up the skates this offseason. Gino told Rossi, "I not retire. I know what some people say, like, I go back to Russia and play for my home team. But I never say it, I retire with Pittsburgh. The Penguins are my team. I love this team. When I retire, it's here." In addition to that, Malkin said that he will not waive his no-movement clause to go elsewhere, and that he hopes to play for Team Russia in next year's Winter Olympics. His current contract ends after next season, but regardless of whether he signs an extension or retires, it's comforting to know that like Sidney Crosby, and most likely Chris Letang, Malkin will be a one-jersey guy. Mike Sullivan is getting reinforcements for the Four Nations final. After their final two round-robin games versus Canada and Sweden, Mike Sullivan's Team USA appears to be limping into the final of the Four Nations face-off. Forward Matthew Tkachuk suffered a lower body injury against Canada and missed Monday's game versus Sweden. Forward Austin Matthews also missed Monday's game with an upper body injury. Defenseman Charlie McAvoy made a third American out on Monday and was even hospitalized with an infection to an upper body injury. Forward Brady Tkachuk left in the first period against Sweden with an upper body injury, and forward Vincent Trocheck suffered a hand injury but finished Monday's game. That is a long laundry list of injuries, but good news for Sullivan and Team USA is that most of those names should play tonight. Sullivan anticipates and expects both Tkachuk brothers, even though Brady didn't practice yesterday, as well as Matthews to play, and there has been no mention of Trocheck, presuming he is good to go. Unfortunately, it's already been announced that McAvoy will be out week to week as he remains in the hospital, but the US does have a pair of reinforcements on the way. It was originally thought that Vancouver Canucks defenseman Quinn Hughes, the reigning Norris Trophy winner, was on his way to Boston as an injury replacement. However, Hughes will remain in Vancouver after not being cleared from an injury and not being able to play tonight unless another defenseman becomes injured or sick. Instead, the United States will have Buffalo Sabres forward Tage Thompson and New Jersey Devils defenseman Brett Pesce on standby tonight. In 48 games this season, Thompson has been lighting it up, scoring 26 goals and 22 assists for 48 points, making everyone ask why the hell wasn't this guy on Team USA to begin with. As for Pesce, he has just 1 goal and 10 assists in 48 games this season, but has been a very reliable defensive defenseman in the NHL for years. Once again, one player from their respective positions would need to be out tonight with an injury or illness for either man to play. Regardless, tonight's game is appointment television. If you're not a die-hard hockey fan, fine. But if you are a fan of sports in general, you need to watch the Four Nations Face-Off Unveiled documentary that dropped last night, and then tune in to tonight's game. Two of the most loaded teams in international hockey history meet one more time in quite possibly the most anticipated game ever. Will Sidney Crosby and the Canadians get their revenge, or will Mike Sullivan and Team USA have us Americans playing Freebird all night long? Tonight's final Four Nations battle in Boston begins at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And finally, a Pittsburgh sports legend has passed away. Well, we all knew that this day would eventually come, but it still doesn't lessen the sting. Last night, it was announced that we lost legendary longtime Pittsburgh Penguins broadcaster and play-by-play commentator Mike Lange. Lange, who was the iconic voice of Penguins hockey for 46 consecutive years from 1976 to 2021, died at the age of 76. After his passing was announced, the Penguins posted a statement reading, "Mike Lange was a wordsmith, a magician behind the mic. The Californian quickly became a quintessential Pittsburgher, and his colorful calls and smooth cadence brought Penguins hockey to life. The Hall of Famer's voice is synonymous with the biggest calls in franchise history, including all 5 Stanley Cup championships, and his unique one-liners and knack of anticipating game-changing plays set him apart from other announcers. Only Mike can make the biggest names in hockey history even more magical with just his voice. Mike was so much more than a legendary broadcaster. He was respected by the players and coaches and beloved by the fans. Because of him, hockey nights in Pittsburgh had the entire city smiling like a butcher's dog." That right there couldn't have described who Mike Lange was any better. From his very first "It's a Hockey Night in Pittsburgh" to his very last "Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building," with all his unforgettable catchphrases in the middle, Lange was truly one of a kind. Talking about broadcasters in Pittsburgh sports history, when you think of the Steelers, you think of Myron Cope. When you think of the Pirates, you think of Bob Prince. And when you think of the Penguins, you damn sure think of Mike Lange. That's how special he was. So, on behalf of the Penguins organization, Pens fans, the city of Pittsburgh, and the hockey world, thank you, Mike Lange, for flawlessly being the voice behind so many awesome moments and memories in Penguins history, and helping make so many of us fall in love with hockey. Rest in peace, we love you, and we will see you again someday in that big press box in the sky. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up a Thursday edition of the Steel City Sports Report. Again, please be sure to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow with some more Pittsburgh sports news.